bombshell tonight. A 10-year-old little girl snatched from her own bedroom in the dark of night. As it goes to air, we obtained exclusive letters reportedly written by stepmommy from behind jailhouse walls. Where is 10-year-old Zahra?
You cannot answer these questions.
Where is Zahra?
Because the answers could be devastating.
AOL News has obtained letters allegedly written by stepmom Elisa Baker, where Baker claimed Zahra's father, Adam Baker, did something horrifying after Zahra died.
Whether he had an active role in disappearing this little girl,
Canines hit on Daddy's industrial wood chipper,
or whether it's simply through turning a blind eye.
These letters, allegedly written by Baker from behind bars, detail the events surrounding Zahra's disappearance and the stepmom's arrest.
Did she ever do anything, Adam?
Lisa Baker
would make fun of the child.
Lisa Baker
admitted to writing the ransom note. Zahra's stepmom
would taunt her.
He's absolutely complicit.
If the stepmommy did do it,
Elisa Baker allegedly writes that cops not only know where Zahra's body is, but they allegedly know what he has done.
anybody,
I don't know.
not be concerned about their own dog.
I don't know.
and the father sat by and let it happen,
It appears they may have taken my daughter.
they can all get a one-way ticket to hell. We are taking your calls live. For those of you just joining us, we have obtained exclusively for TV use letters written from stepmommy from behind jailhouse walls. And I gotta tell you, I've got an earful. Aside from saying what her husband, Adam Baker, Zahra's natural father, did to her was, quote, horrifying, she signs it like this. Some girls want to be princesses when they grow up. I want to be a vampire. She signs everything dark love. Vampires rule. You're my dark heart. What she says about Zahra is that she blames the child. If all this, in other words, the attention focused on Zahra's disappearance, wouldn't have happened if Zahra had not been a cancer survivor from Australia. She actually blames Zahra for beating cancer. She goes on to whine about having to cover up her tattoos and body piercings and how much she loves them, how she misses her warm waterbed. It goes on and on. And out of all these pages I'm looking at, not once does she say, where is Zahra? I love her. I want to hold her in my arms. I want to put her to sleep at night. What has become of her? Why was her leg thrown away? I can't stand to think that she's suffering. Not once does she exhibit 1 ounce of love or human kindness for this little girl. Can you imagine your mommy figure wanting to grow up to be a vampire, admitting her favorite holiday is Halloween because she's a pagan worshiper? Out to David Lohr, joining us exclusively tonight. He's the crime reporter of AOLnews.com. He is the one responsible for getting his mitts on these letters and sharing them with us tonight. Enough from me, David. How did you get these letters and what did you learn?
Well, the letters were actually sent to Eric Geen. He runs a murderabilia website on the internet called Serial Killers, Inc. He'd received the letters from Miss Baker last week, provided us copies of them. Obviously, the revelations in them are quite shocking, and that's why we moved forward and published them.
You know, David, the interest in Zahra is incredible and what happened to her. And after you've read these letters, everyone joining us is David Lohr, crime reporter with AOLnews.com, who is sharing the letters with us. What were your impressions of her? I mean, she comes out and says, Zahra's dead. She's not missing. And the only thing she says about anything that happened to her specifically is that it was, quote, horrifying.
Yeah, she says, we didn't kill her, but what he did afterwards was quite horrifying, to paraphrase. So suggesting after she was dead, something horrific was done to her. So it's quite a startling revelation, and it goes along the lines with everything else in the letter. She claims Zahra's not missing, the police know where she's at, and, you know, basically wants to direct a lot of pity towards herself and her current conditions.
You know, that's something I noticed, David, and after when I go to commercial break, I probably won't even have enough time to do it then because it's such a huge number. I'm going to count how many times she said, I, throughout the entire, all the letters that you've obtained. It's all about me, how she's being misjudged, how people don't understand her, how people want her to be normal, but she can't be because she wants to be a vampire. Joining us right now, Gene Casares, legal correspondent in session. I know you've combed over these with a fine-tooth comb. Thanks to crime reporter David Lohr. What have you learned, Gene Casares?
You know, legally, you see her state of mind, you see her knowledge. When she says, we really didn't kill her, she places herself at the point of time that all happened. She talks about that she is a party to a crime. And then she talks about what he did afterwards is horrifying. After the fact, that's not the murder, that's the cover-up. And so legally, she puts herself in the midst of it. On another point, she talks about Halloween. This is such a recent letter. She just wrote this. She said she's so concerned she has to miss Halloween. It's her favorite holiday. She's only 42 years old, and the camera really doesn't put her in the best light possible when she's been on television.
And, you know, Jane, she goes on to state that she wants to be in the media. She wants to be a media star, but her lawyer won't let her, Jane.
That's right. She wants to tell her story, she said.
Joining me right now is a very special guest, along with Mark Class out of San Francisco, Andy Kahn, the director of the Houston Mayor's Crime Victims Office. He monitors murderabilia sites. I met him years ago while crusading for victims' rights, and he showed me his extensive research of people that make blood money off murder. Well, Andy Kahn, in a sad way, I hate to say, we meet again. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, Nancy, thanks for having me back. You know, it's really sad, and the reality is that they're exploiting, you know, Zahra, her disappearance and presumed death. And you're right, this is blood money, plain and simple, and this is just the beginning of the merchandising and marketing of Zahra as well. You're just seeing the tip of the iceberg right now.
Mark Class joining us out of San Francisco. Weigh in, Mark.
I am apoplectic. I first met Andy on this very issue. He introduced me to this murderabilia business. This is nothing more than serial killers, rapists, and murderers and their agents profiteering off of their crimes. It's blood money. They've done it to my daughter. They do it to all of these crime victims. And apparently and unfortunately, it's perfectly legal. The people that deal in this, whether they're selling it, whether they're agents for it, whether they create it, are doing nothing more than exploiting death. Death and destruction.
You know what, Mark?
Listen, Nancy, they're selling the fingernail clippings, for God's sake, of these characters. There somehow is some kind of an audience there that wants to participate in this and own this garbage, this horrible, terrible stuff.
You know, Mark Class, you and Andy Kahn out of Houston are completely correct. Mark, what I'm focusing on is what I'm learning from these letters about what happened to Zahra. And Mark Class, there is no doubt about it. She is clearly inferring that Zahra is dead.
You got to remember that Elisa Baker, by all accounts, is a pathological liar. We all know, or a majority of us know, what she wrote on her MySpace page, and, you know, her about all the different things she said she did and had and everything else. So you got to take what Elisa, if she wrote this letter, with a grain of salt.